This is the one with a bottle rocket.
No Donna Noble.
Chicken and beef.
The Lost Moon of Poosh.
And minutes upon minutes of talking over each other. It's called Midnight.
It's called Midnight.
Stop it.
Stop it.
Here we go.
Here we go.
We're still on our endless voyage.
All through time and all through space.
With Sabine and Angels now.
Dalek, Cybers, Uden, wow!
Tennant, Smith and Eccleston.
And Capaldi, he's the man.
Doctor Who is cool again.
That was Russell's master plan. Who back when?
Reviewing all new Who there is.
Who back when?
Subscribe and rate on iTunes, please.
Rose and Donna, Amy Pond, Rory, Martha and beyond. Join us on this odyssey. What other choice could there be but Who back when?
Who back when?
Ladies and gentlemen, and variations thereupon, welcome to another episode of Who Back When, a Doctor Who podcast.
Or Doc Past.
Today we're reviewing a new Who episode, N052, Midnight.
Yes, we are.
You're Ponkin.
I am Ponkin. That's where I was going. And you are
Drew. Back when?
Hello, Drew. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks.
Wonderful. I'm very glad to hear. We are also recording in front of a live studio audience. Shout! Hello, Mirimo.
Hello, podcast land.
So you said that you hadn't seen this fully.
I think I'd remember it.
One would think that you would, yeah. Saying that, I didn't remember all of the details. I remembered loving it, and I remembered one element of it, which we will get to at some points, but I didn't remember all of it.
Constantly rising tension and fear.
I mean, it's the Reservoir Dogs of Doctor Who. It's the
I suppose it is.
Russ T. Davis's Hateful Eight in space, in a caravan on a diamond planet.
But other than that, identical.
Are there
it's
eight
of them?
It's plagiarism.
Yeah, that's fine. We should B-Scout anyway.
We should be Scout. Let's do that.
Time for us to synopsize.
Slurpify and summarize.
So take a view
and grab a brew
and listen to this overview, this free-for-all.
We like to call a bite-sized chunk of Who. Bite-sized chunk of Who. We're finally treated to a bottle episode when Donna Noble decides to get a tan while the Doctor embarks on an 8-hour school trip across the deadly diamond landscape of planet Midnight.
When the school bus breaks down and an alien force seemingly possesses one of the passengers, one by one, they begin to turn on each other. B-Scout over, you are welcome. Aren't you just? And holy smokeroonies, that is, I'm already excited by that.
By what?
By that B-Scout.
Oh, yes.
I mean, this is such an incredibly tense episode, and so unlike what has come before it in New Who anyway.
Yes.
Wait, hang on. Have we had a bottle episode on New Who?
Well, not up to this point. I mean, it reminded me a bit of Murder on Planet Express or whatever the Frank Skinner, Agatha Christie takeoff was.
The Capaldi.
Yeah, much later.
Much later, yes. But up until this point, we've not had a bottle episode on New Who, right?
Have we not?
Hang on. I'm not sure we have.
What's the one where the Slitheen come back and they do a lot of talking with the Doctor? That's quite bottly.
And they do it.
Isn't it?
What? I don't remember that
one.
bit. I don't remember a Slitheen bottle episode. I mean, the closest thing that you might get to a bottle episode with them is Boomtown, but there's so much else going on in that as well. Yes, there's like an extended conversation between Eccleston and what's her face? Blonde Felfoch something Slitheen.
Okay, you've got me there.
So my mind went straight to the edge of discretion.
It didn't go to 42, bottly.
Oh, maybe it is, actually.
A little.
It is, isn't it? Actually, I think you might be right about that. Maybe that merits a squeaky voice.
The Edge of Discretion.
Edge of Discretion is 100% a bottle episode. And it also has rising tension, or at the very least, you know, the bland attempt at one. And, and that sort of Reservoir Dog-ish, dogging element of whom can you trust, and is there a traitor in our midst? Has someone sided with the enemy? Yeah. That might be the only other bottle episode that I've seen so far on Doctor Who, in the scope of Who Back When, I mean.
That and 42. And Gridlock doesn't really count because there are many different bottles.
Yeah, exactly.
In a larger bottle.
Exactly. But yeah, so, I mean...
So this is at least extremely rare.
But also on top of that, it is quite... I mean, I think it stands out. It really does stand out, just like Edge of Discretion stood out. Edge of Discretion, by the way, was the third serial of Doctor Who ever.
And they were already low on budget and needed to make some of it back by completely cutting down on external
before
shots
that they had
and
done,
scenery.
Yeah, before that they had done The Daleks, which was a massive investment. Can't remember what the fourth one was, but Marco Polo. Already in the very beginning, there was the thought, the ambition to have this incredibly tense psychological thriller, just set between four walls, or however many walls you have in the TARDIS. And here we have a return to that. Since then, the series has mutated into something that doesn't really allow for psychological thriller. How often do you get the level of darkness that you get in this episode? Very rarely, right?
Yeah, very rarely. And also, I know there are a million very similar lame devices of how the Doctor is separated from the TARDIS, and that's how he escapes. But,
exactly. The Davis principle.
Yeah, but but RTD wrote this episode.
Yeah.
And we don't even see the TARDIS.
Oh, yes, you're right. I didn't even make a note of this. Then afterwards I read in the trivia that this is the very first time since episode something of Genesis of the Daleks that has happened.
Wow.
That's Tom Baker.
Oh, shit.
Isn't it? I think Genesis of the Daleks is Tom Baker. So Future Punkin if I'm wrong. No Future Punk if I'm right. Great, excellent. Or thank you, me. But the
either way, you win.
Either way, yes, L5. That means we're talking decades where the TARDIS has featured in every single episode.
That's actually more amazing as an unbroken streak.
Actually, you're right. Yeah.
And do you know what? I only just figured that out while we were describing it. I didn't miss it because.
Well done.
It has just nothing to add to this episode.
That's true.
But great standalone piece.
Yes, I agree. But even in episodes where the TARDIS doesn't play a part, like an active part, at the very least, the episode or the serial will start with the Doctor and his companion just exiting the TARDIS.
Yeah, rocking up or rocking off.
Exactly. They acknowledge the presence, the existence of the TARDIS. Here we don't even get that. They've been there for a while, Donna's getting a tan and a wax.
She's taking 10 minutes away from the ceaseless bants.
Do you think that's what it is?
Yeah.
I reckon
just to get some respite from, stop it. No, we're not going out. No, we're not on a date.
Do you not think? Oh, yeah, I know. So we get that as well. I was thinking, it's a shame that Maria isn't here today, because that would have been, that's Donna taking on that joke just for herself and doing a swell job of it.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you happy with Donna not being in this one, by the way?
I didn't miss. She would have been an enormous presence in that tiny bottle. It would have been interesting to see what they did with her, although
she's too loud.
She is loud, and her and Mrs. Kane would have clashed.
Who's Mrs. Kane? Is she the one that probably annoyed you as much as she annoyed us?
Yes, she's the unremittingly awful side character.
She is also revoltingly dumb.
Yes. And cowardly.
And cowardly, yeah. And then just lies about it all.
Yeah. Oh, no, I was the only one on your side, Doctor.
Yeah. But then you can tell, you can see that look in her eye that afterwards she's going to go home and probably, either she's going to fabricate another story, but deep down inside she's going to know that she's a massive, like, I was going to say B word, that doesn't cover it, like she is the worst person alive.
Well, okay.
And a fraud. Mrs. Kane is a fucking fuck you,
She's
Mrs.
not
Kane.
the only one. Now, I'll just to wrap up the Donna thing from earlier.
Sorry. That was a tangent on a tangent, by the way.
I think it would have been interesting and possibly terrifying to see Donna herself be manipulated and turn against the Doctor. Because at that point, he's in the deepest shit.
I can almost see, I can see the end happening, but not the entire episode leading up to that, because the end would be, the end would be she is suddenly toned down and is acting well towards the others, and they don't know her, so they take her for a regular human being, not knowing that she is the bombastically obnoxious Donna Noble. And therefore, we, the audience, know, well, something is clearly up because she's charismatic. And they, the co-passengers, will assume that she is normal and not an alien because she's not a pile of garbage. I think so. But imagine the rest of the episode leading up to that. Like, what is she going to do? Then they're going to have to keep her bombastic nature away from everyone else up until the point where she...
Could she not...
No, she could be Sky.
Well, I don't think she could be Sky... No, she
kind of could, right? Because then you have an excuse to keep her quiet.
Yes, and she does a lot of copying. And she has to be.
She can flex those muscles, and clearly she can. I mean, as we already established a few episodes ago, I mean, she can act, you know?
Yes.
So maybe she could
flex the acting muscles.
That's what I mean, yeah. Well, which muscles were you thinking about? Like, she's there doing Kegels in the fucking space bus.
I mean, Sky has to crouch down there being a little
you mean
goblin
physically flex
person
those muscles?
for ages. She must have got some terrible cramps.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Or they must have made some sort of comfortable seat or support for her.
Yeah. Sorry, tangent on a tangent on a tangent.
Ah, heck.
So, what's her face who plays Sky? What's her face?
I didn't look up what's her face.
Well, the woman who plays Sky,
yeah,
she really, I mean, she can do faces. She is acting with her eyes and with just mimicry. Oh my goodness, she is creepy on a level.
Yeah, I mean, on half the laptop screen from the shots when they're all at the back and they're pointing towards her at the front saying, look at her eyes, you can see that her eyes are creepy.
Yeah.
With like a few pixels.
By the way,
yes.
I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying that she doesn't blink once.
Really?
I think they made sure that she never blinked on screen.
Oh my...
I think so.
Oh my word.
It was about halfway through the episode that it dawned on me. And it was like, oh wait, she's not blinking. And from that point on, I never saw a blink.
Her eyes are painted on.
That's it.
That's what it is.
It's that old schoolboy trick. You know, the like, oh man, I could just sleep through every class if I just tattooed eyes onto my eyelids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when she needs the creepy eye, she just shuts them and there they are.
I wonder if any tangent on tangent on tangent. I wonder if any pupil ever had, no pun intended, ever had the balls to go through with that.
The eyeballs to go through with that.
Yeah. That as well. I didn't even think about that.
So, yeah,
anyway,
okay,
yeah.
Donna maybe could have been Sky.
Yeah. This is the most okay, yeah.
Why wasn't Donna Sky?
Okay, well, presumably because Catherine Tate went on holiday that week.
Oh, right.
Or those weeks, right? Probably. Which I'm incredibly pleased with. I think it was nice to get a break from Catherine Tate.
Okay, we're going to get a 5-series break and counting coming up, dude. I mean,
sure.
She's the companion for this one series. Why not make the most of her?
And coming up is going to be, a string of very Donna-heavy episodes, right? So,
good, great.
I think so. I'm pretty sure. I mean, she plays a pretty central...
Yeah.
Crap, I'm so squeaky. She plays a pretty central part in at the very least, the next one. So, yeah. Very pleased.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. All right, so how about we peel back one layer of tangents and you return to the point you were going to make a moment ago, Drew.
Let's. So I was going to make the point that Mrs. Kane is awful, but we see a lot of the awful side of humanity in this episode, and we see people lurching from one to the other. The supporting cast, I mean, there's not much to like. There aren't many people to like among them, but even, I think, Dee Dee, the most sympathetic one, she veers in and out of being taken in and going along with the awful crowd.
That's true. Okay, question for you.
Yes.
Is this solely... Sorry, not solely, because I think the answer to that is even given in the episode. But is this largely due to like the paranoia and the fear and inherent evil of mankind, or is this whatever that entity is speaking through them? Because she says when she's clearly trying to manipulate, right?
Yeah,
she does say
those are really good. Those manipulation scenes where she's already manipulating, but you don't know how much the people are building on that with their own nature. It's great.
That's my question, exactly. I mean, when she's very clearly she's stolen the Doctor's voice, and this is Sky, and she's standing up, and she's doing the charismatic Donna thing of like not at all being like Donna is normally, especially since she isn't Donna. But she's
I'm not at all like Sky was 20 minutes ago.
Exactly, yeah. Which, actually, we don't know, because we don't really get to know Sky that well.
No, I suppose, and especially the other characters don't. We got an anecdote, but that was to the Doctor and us.
But that's it.
Yeah.
Point being, she says that's what he does. He gets into your heads, and he turns you against each other, right?
Yes.
We don't know if she's just saying that to manipulate the rest of the passengers to take a side against, like, to oppose the Doctor and throw him out eventually, or if she's actually telling the truth and these people aren't inherently evil, they are just acting upon the influence of this entity. What do you think?
I think that this episode would reward multiple rewatches. Because I reckon...
Oh, God, yes.
I reckon, all the episodes written by people who aren't RTD are subject to numerous rewrites, I'm sure, because they have to fit into the overarching arc as he is the showrunner and he gets, a final draft. But this seems to have been untainted, I suppose. It just seems to be so well written. It doesn't have to kowtow to outside influences and lose some of its potency thereby, because I think it's just so well constructed. And I reckon if we were to watch it 2 or 3 times again, we'd be able to say, oh, and that's why she then does this, and that's why she capitalizes on that. She sees them interacting and she learns from that, and I think it's all very logically put together. She learns from the interaction that the Doctor had with Mr. Kane and Dee Dee in that particular scene, and then she uses an aspect of that against them. She capitalizes on the human fear of the other and their growing antipathy or whatever, and rivalries, social status within the group, whatever. She puts all of that together and just pulls the rug out from under them.
Yeah. She does none of that, and that is solely the instinct and inherent xenophobia of humankind.
I think one is driving the other. I think that is how they're interacting, and then she will say something that will then drive them onto a greater level of xenophobia and fear.
Oh, I see.
And she learns from that.
Yeah, that's very possible.
It all just spirals out of control incredibly quickly.
Oh, but it is very quick. It's very quick and it's very intense. But I think not necessarily because of the nature of however many there are, 6 or 7 people stuck inside a confined space, but solely by sheer virtue of this having to squeeze into 40 minutes of TV.
Yeah.
They have to escalate everything very, very quickly.
Yes, but you do sometimes get a little bit of whiplash when someone switches from against the Doctor to for the Doctor.
Yeah.
But it's not that
At
much.
the very end, when they're all in one corner of the room of the bus.
Yeah.
That's a little on the whiplashy side.
When you say the very end, what do you mean?
At the end when she actually surpasses the Doctor in terms of, she's repeating, then she's reciting alongside everyone in the bus, and then she actually surpasses them and says what the Doctor is about to say ahead of him.
Yeah, she gains her own voice.
Exactly, at which point Shazamatron, Doc and Co go to the far end of the bus.
Yeah, and the Doctor's looking into the screen, and that's some moving shit.
It is. It definitely is. But at that point, maybe that's the only part of the episode where it escalates a little bit too abruptly.
Well, possibly, but I thought at that point she was also at the peak of her powers, and so I didn't really mind that she was manipulating people with that much more facility.
You know what? I'm not even going to call you an apologist for this. I'm going to walk all of it back. I agree with you. I think this is wonderfully well crafted and within the mythos of its own, the bubble that it's built for itself. And I'm going to get back to this as a bubble, but I think it all makes sense. It's all very logical.
Yeah, and because of that, the whiplash is minimized because it has to fit into 40 minutes, like you say. And if we saw characters in any other context, ping-ponging like this, we'd think, oh my goodness, this is appalling writing. But it's such good writing that it holds it together despite all these impossible odds of constraints stacked against it.
Yes. Okay, hang on. So let me address this bubble thing.
Okay.
First off, bit of trivia. This was not meant to happen now in Doctor Who. This episode was originally meant to sit ahead of, what's it called? Forest of the Dead's Silence in the Library and Forest of the Dead.
Yeah.
Which would have made it the 50th episode of New Who.
Ooh.
Which is why the bus is called the Crusader 50.
Oh.
And so take the fact that they have transposed this episode of Doctor Who from one part of the serial to another.
To N052.
Bingo bongo. And if that is possible, and we've already acknowledged that there's a huge discrepancy between the style and the general format of this episode and most of the rest of Who, what are the odds, do you think? Is it cynical to say? What are the odds, do you think, that this was repurposed into a Doctor Who script? Because there's not even a TARDIS in it. This episode could very easily be an incredibly well-written, standalone sci-fi story.
Yes. Oh, well, I absolutely got that impression, and this is, I hate to repeat myself.
Yeah.
Because Podcast Land has such attentive listeners, they will
Oh, yeah.
pick up on the repetition
They
immediately.
will take you to task.
Yes.
Yeah.
But my ideal conception of Doctor Who is that you have just that. You have sci-fi short stories and all the potential therein, and you put Doctor Who in there, and he brings the best out of those. And I think that's what's happened here.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, RTD has no other vehicle for this, for his brilliant sci-fi short story. I don't mind that it's a short story that never got published in an anthology or whatever. This, I think, is the absolute best format of this could be.
I agree. How about we take another step back and we just have a look at the other passengers?
Yes, let's do that.
All right. A tiny bit of trivia. You probably know this already. The man who plays the geriatric professor.
Oh, Professor Hobbs.
Professor Hobbs.
What's his surname, Leon?
Oh.
What's his surname?
Is it Troughton, perchance?
No!
It's Dave Troughton. David Troughton, who has appeared on Doctor Who before.
Not as Peladon.
You have this trivia in front of you.
Sorry, go for it.
No,
Take it away. Take it away.
I don't have the list on me. Go through the list.
Well, just that he's Patrick Troughton's son.
He is, obviously.
Yeah.
He looks a lot like him, by the way.
I mean, if David Tennant had been homosexual and he wasn't going out with Georgia Moffat, it would have been David Troughton. Presumably. He's the equivalent. They'd be married now.
Sure, why not?
Why not?
So, do you have the list of episodes that he's featured in?
Only that he was in Peladon and The Curse of Peladon.
Yeah, doesn't he play King Peladon or something like that?
Yes.
Yeah, and which I've not seen, by the way. He featured in a Patrick Troughton serial. He featured as a young god.
Keep it in the family.
If I'm not mistaken, he played a young god in Something of the World, Terror of the World, something of the... Oh, wait, hang on 1 second.
Tosser of the World.
Keep going.
Bell End of the World.
You'll get to it. Come on, go for it.
Dickhead of the World.
Benches of the World suggests.
Audience of the World.
Audience of the World, no. Hang on, wait. I'm gonna.
Tragedy of the World.
I'm finding this.
Calamity of the World.
I am on whobackwhen.com right now.
Miss of the World.
Let's find it. Enemy of the World.
That's the one.
That
with the
one.
two Troughtons. The three Troughtons.
The three Troughtons. Exactly. And I think he probably pops up here and there as, like, you know, without a speaking part. Just a dude.
He was in the Five-ish Doctors reboot as well.
Was he? Oh, I don't remember
That's
that.
what IMDb told me. We need to rewatch that.
We really do.
With actually armed with knowledge of the whole dynasty of Doctor Who and actually get the 10,000 references they've hidden in there.
Yeah, you're right. I'd quite like to do that, actually. Yeah. Maybe we should do that one out of sync, because we've already speaking of, by the way, slight tangent from this episode review, but I mean, we've already missed the chronological accuracy of reviewing Torchwood as a spin-off for a bonus episode. We need to do that. Class. There's the lost episode of Class. Maybe I'll get around to editing, cleaning that up at some point.
Oh, yeah.
When I have a spare 3 weeks to tidy that up. Anyway, yeah. Maybe we should do that. Why not?
Yeah, and the Sarah Jane Adventures. Probably.
Sarah Jane Adventures, K9 and Friends, whatever that's called, K9 something.
Yeah.
Yes! Absolutely.
Yes.
And the 3 million unit movies. Anyway.
And the Five-ish Doctors.
And the Five-ish Doctors, exactly. All right, so hang on. So we've got Dave Troughton. Who else is aboard this bus?
We have his research assistant, Dee Dee, who is basically just TV extra level.
Yeah,
person.
okay.
Her name is...
That's okay.
Her name is Aisha Antoine.
Hello, Aisha.
How old do you think she is
Thanks
when
for
she
listening.
plays Dee Dee in this episode?
Oh, that's a brilliant question. She is 24.
Okay, why did you think she was 24? Does she look 24?
I feel like she could pass for 24, yeah.
She's 27.
Oh, really? Well, that was pretty good. That was well done. Thank you. Well done, me.
I spent the first part of this episode thinking she was early 50s because of that cardigan.
Oh, okay, so one of my notes is not about her, but about the professor. Guess the geriatric professor look is still being rocked in the future. The same applies to her. Why are they wearing these clothes? This is the future. Do we ever get to hear which year it is, by the way?
No, we don't.
But it is the distant future. They're colonizing other planets.
Yeah, they're dropping spas, leisure centers out of space.
Yeah. So, presumably, people don't need to wear cardigans and ill-fitting cardigans and grandpa shirts and ties Like, do people wear the same tie? Oh, actually, no. There was a thing about his tie. Did you see that? He wore it, like, backwards.
Oh, no, I didn't see that.
Yeah, as in he had reversed the sides, basically.
Okay, well, that much has changed. I actually made a note in connection to this, which was that in the future, in deep space, you still have all the same
Sexist stereotypes.
sexist, racist stereotypes. Every black person in this episode is a hostess or a mechanic
Or a
research assistant.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to call her an intern. You're right. She's a research assistant, but she says herself her job largely entails carrying shit for the old white guy.
Yeah, the old white guy. And did you notice that twice, old white guy
Stops her, like interrupts her
and says, "Stop bothering the man," in capitals.
Holy smokes. Really?
The white man. You are a black woman talking to a white man. How dare you?
How dare you interrupt this man who shows an interest in my work?
Yes.
Yeah, not okay with any of this.
Well, I think it's got to be intentional.
It
on
must
RTD's
be.
part.
It surely must be.
Yeah, because there will have been a backlash. You know, first of all, he's gay. He's been fighting against this all his life.
Yeah.
And now he has to put this on primetime television. And the Daily Mail is going to bitch about how many black people are in the episode. And so...
What? Do you think so?
I would not be... Dude, look at the geopolitical scene now.
Yes, I realize I'm aware of that, but there's a certain discrepancy between that and how the Daily Mail would react to a bottle episode of Doctor Who in 2000 and whatever it was, 9.
It just adds to the generalized media perception of the BBC being completely politically correct, and look how many black people, and she moved to another galaxy, oh no, there's lesbian, there's non-normative sexualities being depicted on BBC One on Saturday evening when children are watching, when somebody think of the children. So RTD has to put up with all that fucking shit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
And he is being subversive. Not by the presentation of that, because that is a necessary progression of society. We just have to get on board with people. Come on. But he's making the point that these entrenched
values, unfortunately, I think might be a relevant word.
Values and oppressions.
These habits and oppressions, you're right.
Yeah,
that they are valid now and will last unless we do something about it.
Yeah, they are incredibly persistent. Unless we come out against them, then they will be what define us throughout time and space. I think that's the point he's making here.
Interesting how, yet again, by the way, this has been done before on Doctor Who and New Who anyway, yet again, without any fuss whatsoever, without the fuss that is normally lent to this sort of revelation in, I hesitate to say this, I'm very sorry American listeners, but American TV, someone is revealed to not be in a straight relationship, not be heterosexual, and, there's no fuss made of it.
Yeah.
Clearly there is a certain progress made there. The Doctor doesn't go, how dare you be a lesbian? But then no progress has been made in terms of ethnic segregation.
Yeah. No, I do see the point, and
do you not also feel like there's a slight imbalance there?
Yes, possibly.
Or actually, maybe it makes it even more realistic in a way. One oppression has lasted. It's not depicted as an oppression within the scope of the episode, but that role dynamic hasn't been reversed or balanced out. It hasn't been equalized, sorry, is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Actually, that probably makes an even better and stronger point on his part.
Well, yeah, I mean, it seems clever after, or it seems simple after the event that you think, he's doing the complete opposite things. You can't say that he's making good points with completely antithetical messages, but I think that's probably intentional here.
Yeah, I take it back. I think it strengthens either one scenario strengthens the other scenario.
Yes.
The fact that there has been some degree of social progress in terms of not being confined to heteronormative relationships strengthens the fact that the roles... Anyway, oh God, we're just going around in circles saying the same thing over and over again. Yeah. Great stuff. Yeah. Next character, come on.
Well, I just want to wrap that off with saying, okay. I don't mean to be preachy, and I don't want to tell people to be a certain way.
Okay.
It's just that I edited a feminist journal over the last couple of weeks.
Okay.
And they called me out as a heterosexual, cisgender, white, able-bodied Christian male.
You identified with a particular stereotype in this journal, did you?
The journal was like, this is the viewpoint from the top of Privilege Mountain, where I reside, apparently.
Yeah, Mount Privilege.
Yeah, and so all I want to say to you, Podcast Land, is don't be dicks. I mean, let's leave it there. I'm not going to tell you to like or dislike certain people, but just don't be dicks.
Well said. All right.
So another character.
We've got Wingnut.
Who's Wingnut?
Merlin.
Oh, yes.
So Merlin shows up in this thing. Yeah, that's it. That's what it is. I recognized him on screen as someone who, I think, quoting myself, that guy has made it big time in Hollywood, and then looked him up and, oh yeah, he plays Merlin.
And nothing else.
That show I've never seen. Young Merlin. I've seen a poster for it and made a...
Yeah, there was some calendars of Merlin, but mostly they featured young buff King Arthur, so it wasn't even him, because, he's all skinny, gaunt and angular.
Right,
so,
but surely the show must be about Merlin.
Yes, and the whole Arthurian, legend.
Okay.
We should make clear to our non-UK listeners that this was prime time on BBC One, pretty much in the Doctor Who Saturday night slot for a few years, this Merlin program.
I think it was a huge thing. That's interesting, by the way. I didn't realize it was a BBC thing.
Yes.
I had no idea. I thought it was an American produced show.
No.
Really?
Yeah.
My goodness. How ever did it survive? I don't know a single person in this country who watched that show. On state-funded BBC.
Well, that's just like Robin Hood and the Three Musketeers, which had Capaldi for a very short time.
The Three Musketeers people watched only because of Capaldi.
Yeah, and then he left to do something better.
Exactly. And the show was, I'm assuming, discontinued.
It was bumped around the schedules, and
right.
Few people heard of it again.
At some point, he's going to get around to it. Is that it? What was the other one?
Robin Hood.
A Robin Hood. Wait, there's a Robin Hood TV show? See, this is another thing. I can't believe that the BBC does anything besides news and Doctor Who. It makes no sense that anything else would thrive in a...
Well, nothing else does. Nothing else lasts and gets the persistent ratings. These things are all...
Oh, and Sherlock,
flops.
Obviously. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
That's the only other one. Well, I mean, same production team. Anyway, right. So Wingnut is in this anyway. Who else?
You've got the hostess, whose name we never learn.
That's true.
Yeah, and she is... Well, she's from Cardiff, so I assume that's how she got the gig. She was first at the casting office, 8:01. Great.
Hired.
Off to the pub, off to Wetherspoons for the rest of the day.
Mr. and Mrs. Kane, was it?
Oh, yes, Mr. and Mrs. I only looked up Mr. Kane, which
okay, talk
is
about him while I eat an olive.
Well, these people, they're all just bumping around the lower echelons of British TV. They've all been in Holby City and Casualty and all that sort of thing. They haven't really done anything remarkable between them. And I think overall, Merlin included, even though he had, a certain ascent.
But this was pre-Merlin.
Yeah.
Right. So they're still digging in the same bucket of
yeah, they're still scraping the same
unsuccessful actors, right?
Yes.
Up and coming, maybe, we don't know. They didn't know at the time.
Yes, but
certainly at the time, unsuccessful actors.
Yes, whether up and coming or perennial underachievers, I thought that the writing, as you say, brings Catherine Tate down. I thought it elevated these people. I appreciated them more for the lines they were delivering rather than the acting they endowed them with.
I agree. I mean, not a single one of them really stands out, to be honest, as a good actor or actress.
Apart from Dave Troughton, of course.
I mean, Dave Troughton has charm, he has charisma, but there's a certain element of Doc Brown about him, to be honest, in this one.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't know if I would say he delivers, grade A, really spot-on acting.
Yeah.
Dee Dee certainly doesn't. I guess Sky does, by being super creepy.
Once she gets super creepy, she is A-class.
Yeah.
But
and also, wait, there's that look that she gives the Doctor after he's, sabotaged the entertainment system. Yeah. There's that look which is like, oh, okay, cool, you understand each other. But then the second they move into anecdote land, I've already, she's lost.
Yeah. Although, at that point, I was just thinking she was Miss Foster Mark II.
Who's Miss Foster?
From Partners in Crime.
Which one's Miss Foster?
She's the one with the other Sonic, Sarah Lancashire.
Oh, right.
Yeah. But that's just because they're blonde women of a certain age, I think, probably.
Oh, well, that's profiling. I don't know if
Yeah,
that's
sorry
okay.
about that.
I'm not sure if I can stand for that.
Look, it's Privilege Mountain is a long way up. I can only see so far.
Okay. So who else? Anyone recognizable? No? I don't think so.
I didn't look up Mrs. Kane, but I don't.
No, I don't really think we
so.
need to. Different question. The conversation we just mentioned a second ago, Sky has a chat with the doctor and she goes, well, yeah, she left me. I'm recently single. This, my either girlfriend or wife, what have you. Maybe there's a different term in the future. My dimensional partner. Left me. And she says, I'm paraphrasing, I didn't write down the quote, but she says something like, she went to a different galaxy. Like, how much space do you need if you go to a different galaxy? And it's a touching moment because, she's lost someone that she really cared about.
Yeah.
And the doctor has to top it. The doctor immediately goes like, yeah, I just lost someone who went to a different universe. Like, suck on them apples.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got nothing. Nothing. I have suffered.
You have no penis at all. I am the man. What are you
How dare
doing?
you interrupt the man? I just thought that was like, that is rude, Doctor. That is rude.
One-upmanship.
Yeah.
One-up-manship.
One other thing, the, what's her face? Didi, she says that she is super interested in the lost moon of Poosh.
Yes.
And the doctor hints at, she is going to be the one who discovers the lost moon of Pooh.
Oh, you think that's what he means?
Isn't that exactly what he hints at?
I suppose if he's...
Like, maybe you're going to be the one. Maybe you'll make a grand discovery.
I mean,
I felt like that was a doctor. Oh, sorry. I keep
possibly. I mean, isn't he just going around the galaxy, hoovering up all the available vaginas? I mean, I don't think
so you think at that point he's thinking, well, I've got this complimentary juice pack. I've got Didi. What more do I need?
Yeah, if you run out of complimentary nuts, I've got a pair. That's what he's thinking. He's thinking, I can see through that cardigan. You're barely past your mid-20s. He hasn't been looking at Ordnance Survey maps going, oh, look, in the future, they do discover the lost moon of Poosh. He is trying to get in there.
He's literally just trying to get some Poosh.
Yeah, he's like, you're an underappreciated companion. I know all about that.
I'm an expert in underappreciating companions. Oh, yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right. He wants
If you need a penis to cry on, then... I'm right here.
Oh, that is that is one of the most disturbing images.
Sorry.
No, that was perfect. That was wonderful. Okay.
Okay, so we've pretty much done the supporting cast. Where do you want to take it from here?
Okay, not necessarily the longest conversation piece, particularly because I suspect that you haven't seen this one, but in addition to the edge of discretion, I made another mental link back to a classic serial, namely the Daleks' Master Plan.
Oh, 10-episode arc, right?
12 episode arc.
Oh,
I think 12 episodes plus was there 11 episodes plus a 12th one that doesn't feature the Doctor? I can't remember. It doesn't matter. Anyway, yeah, have a listen to the review.
Oh, with the first ever Christmas special.
Yes, the Feast of Stephen. Anyway, the in that one, very temporary companion, Katerina, whom the Doctor picked up in Troy, does exactly what the hostess does in this one.
Oh.
They're in a spaceship in Dalek's Master Plan, not a bus tank thing, tractor, whatever. As in this one,
could even be a hovercraft for all we know.
I think we get to see a picture of it, and it has like tank, whatever those bands are called. What are they called? Like the
Caterpillar tracks.
Exactly, that's the one.
Right.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Anyway, so in Dalek's Master Plan, Katerina is in the airlock. And there's someone in there, there's a murderer in there with him because they've stopped by this prison planet. And this murderer is aboard the ship, clearly wants to kill the Doctor and take over the ship and escape. And she blasts them out of the airlock just like the hostess does in this one. And spoiler for the end of Midnight. Yeah, anyway, short conversation piece, not even a conversation piece, short monologue piece, another reference to Classic Who.
Yeah, and actually, you mentioning that is perhaps where I got some whiplash.
Oh, really?
Where the hostess realising, okay, there is justification for her sacrifice in some way, or there is justification for her snapping out of the charismatic trance that she's been put into by
Yeah.
whatever is in Sky, and realizing that, wow, the Doctor is right. But then to jump from that to sacrificing herself in no time at all.
I know exactly what you mean, but I linked that back to what the horrendous Mrs. Kane?
Yes.
Kane. Oh, I keep forgetting that name. What the horrendous Mrs. Kane said, namely you're the hostess, aren't you supposed to do something about this?
Yes, and if the fire exits need to be used, you will use them first. I am at your disposal.
Oh, yeah, you're right. We had Chekhov's fire exit. We had oh, by the way, guys, there's a fire exit and it takes exactly 6 seconds for the thing to blast people out of it.
Just certain death.
Yeah, just to let you know. Now let's get on with this episode. Fast forward 40 minutes. Oh my goodness, there's a fire exit.
Let's count to 6.
Exactly. So yeah, anyway, there's another reference there. Why don't we move to Rose?
Oh yes, on screen.
Yeah. So Rose
on screen.
Number one. So Rose makes another appearance on a screen, very much like she did in Poison Sky.
Yeah, and that must be the exact same footage that is used here. And they thought, that looks good in this episode, which was going to be much nearer the Poison Sky in its original placement in the series. Let's bung it in the flat 5 seconds we've got.
Except in this one, it seems much more deliberate.
Well, in this one, the Doctor is... The focus is actually on the screen while the Doctor is in the foreground and he's blurry.
Exactly.
This
was very clearly a calculated move, whereas the Poison Sky one... This is what you wanted to say, right?
Yeah, that was my trivia, which you stole.
Sorry.
I actually liked the unintentional one, where they shoehorned it in better than this one. I thought it was too obvious that they focused on the screen and the Doctor was out of focus in the foreground.
Oh, but at this point, we're talking about the next episode. Rose shows up in the after credits, actually during credits, next week on Doctor Who type thing.
Yeah.
There's no denying that it's going to happen. I think it's almost to be expected that you're going to ham-fist a reference to it.
So this is all part of that gradual amplifying of these references, building of expectations.
Yeah, exactly. And given that this is the very last chance that you get to have an allusion to something that's about to happen, because next step is it's happening, yeah, it's going to be blatant. It's going to be very much in your face, which is what happened.
Yeah.
But you think it's the exact same footage? You think it's the same clip?
I think so. Well, it's just her going, bah, bah, which is obviously Doctor. But yeah, I think so. It's the same 3.5 seconds.
All right.
1, 2, 3. Cuts. Something else happens.
Right. I am very tempted to take those two clips side by side and make a tiny little teaser. Yeah, that's happening. That's happening.
It.
I'm doing that.
This is what we're all about. Added value. We are piggybacking off a show and adding negligible value that you can't live without.
Exactly.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
You would be negligibly worse off were you not listening to us right now. I hope.
Everyone appreciates your honesty, Drew.
Sorry, dude.
No, that's okay.
You've only put like 3 years of your life into this.
So I'm a traveller. What, like an immigrant?
Oh, yes, that was on the nose, but I thought it was justified in how heated things were getting. I mean, yeah, do it. Call people out for, the associations they
let's not get back into that conversation again. But yes, absolutely, that does happen. Do you have anything else in your notes? Ocean of Noise. We must not look at goblin men. There are 2 cultural references, one of which I could not find.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, so we have Christina Rossetti, the goblin market. There's the note, we must not look at the goblin men note. There's the quote.
Yeah, and that is the reference you could find. RTD didn't make that up and then falsely attribute it.
Exactly.
Okay, good.
But then there's the other one, which was, I had to pause, actually I had to rewind and then time it and pause it. Sky is reading Ocean of Noise by F.R. Butler.
Oh, right. Okay.
I think that's made up.
Well, then it must have some sort of foreboding, foreshadowing...
Exactly, right?
Significance.
Exactly. Right?
Right.
So, I looked it up. The only thing that I could find... on Google anyway, was a song called Ocean of Noise. But there's no reference to a butler, or as in the name butler, or the word, the job.
Yeah. Felicity Rachel Butler, or whoever it is. Frank Reginald Butler.
Frau Butler? Yeah. I have absolutely no idea.
Okay, that's a weird loose end.
Yeah.
I thought everything in Doctor Who meant something.
But Ocean of Noise. Ocean of Noise. If anyone out in podcast land knows what that is a reference to, I mean, let's say it's very possible that this is actually a book that exists and I just didn't find it on my very quick 5-second Google. But if it's not, then it's something that the production team made an effort to, they printed a fake book cover, wrapped it around a real book and made someone read it and gave it some screen time for a reason. If anyone out in podcast land knows of a reason, let us know.
What I love is that page 2 of the Google search is full of all the information you need, but if it's not in the first 10,
I don't care.
It may as well not exist.
Exactly. I'm not going to give it a moment of my life.
I think that this could possibly be the follow-up. Do you remember on the Titanic episode, the Space Titanic?
Yeah.
And you had that random band singing because they were RTD's best mates or something.
Yeah. It's like his nephew's band or something.
Yeah, or his nieces, some Welsh band of nobodies. I reckon that this was their follow-up single. And it just completely bombed.
Hang on, I'm going to find out. Wait, what was it? Ocean of Noise, Arcade Fire, Ocean of Noise. There's an actual song.
Okay, well, that might be a reference to this.
Actually, that's true. And then again, Ocean of Noise sounds sort of bland enough,
Yeah.
Doesn't look relevant.
Okay. Yeah, there was some weird, the Retro Earth classics, whoever that was.
Oh.
And the sub-Futurama opening animation clips. With some old guy punching above his weight with Betty Boop.
It was Betty Boop, yeah. It was absolutely Betty Boop. It does bug me a little bit, like, that the only cultural references... We are the nostalgia generation. We are nostalgic for stuff that happened, let's say, around the 90s, 80s and 90s.
Yeah, we're nostalgic for the early days of the internet, before it all got really heavy.
And all of a sudden, fast forward, whichever year this takes place in, let's say we fast forward 5,000 years or something, people seem to be nostalgic for Betty Bloody Boop. And that song from the 80s, whatever that was.
70s. It's got to be 70s.
Okay, fine, 70s. That bugs me a little bit. That every single time, just like the End of the World episodes, the second New Who episode with Eccleston.
Yeah.
Where they're like, oh, and here's a classic Earth jukebox, and it's playing Britney Spears. All of future nostalgia is set in our past.
Yeah, and the pub quiz questions all about the Beatles hits.
Exactly.
Classical music.
That's a pet peeve. Sorry, I don't like that.
Yeah. Well, you could perhaps justify it in that, this has been a century of unprecedented technological, evolution. And Betty Boop...
but actually, that was the pinnacle. Betty Boop was the pinnacle of cultural achievement.
No, Betty Boop will always be among the first, years or decades of animation, because...
You're right. Actually, that's true.
Yeah, it's always going back to the beginning. It's just that you have to go further to get there.
But surely at some point... what the hostess says is so we have some retro music, whatever, from the Retro Channel.
Yeah.
And then we have, for the kids... We have some classic old school, animations, cartoons.
Yeah.
For the kids today wouldn't want to watch Betty Boop. Like, kids today have no patience for Betty Boop. What, it's black and white? It might as well be subtitled,
Yeah.
And what I did enjoy, though, in that scene was and it is an escalation of what we are experiencing already today in real life, that people have such a short attention span. They need absolutely everything at once. They need a million pieces of entertainment thrust upon them at the same time, and that is exactly how entertainment works in the future. Where it's like, oh, well, you're getting this art installation and this shitty cartoon and this shitty music all at once, and you're not going to be able to distinguish either one of them, but that's how we do it in the future.
That's actually quite prescient, considering how much second screening we all engage in now.
Yeah, true. Exactly right.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Good point.
Well, I thought that was interesting. Give us a point. What have you got?
What did you think of the whole extonic spiel?
My first note is extonic sunlight. I wrote that down because I wanted to look up extonic, if that means anything. What does that mean?
It means...
out of tonic?
There's an X sound and it sounds cool.
Right? Yeah.
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 Presumably this is the only mention of it ever in the history of Doctor Who. because it makes it impossible for something to live by a sun. How could a sun be anything different? How could there be different kinds of suns? I mean, okay.
There's a different gas or something in the atmosphere, and that makes the sun's rays... What's the idea? Is it that it makes it toxic, or is it that it makes it just deadly strong?
Yeah, there's some...
I think toxic.
Well, yeah, there's some sort of radiation that is like UV, but to the point where nothing organic, assuming all life is organic, can
Is that the idea
survive.
then? Is that the idea then, that it is X-tonic? As in, imagine a tonic, as in a gin and tonic, a tonic water tonic, that it is meant to help you, that is meant to cure you in some way, aid in recuperation, and this is X-tonic. It takes it out of that. No recuperation for you, buddy. If you set foot on the atmosphere of, on the surface of this planet, then you're absolutely boned, because the X-tonic sun rays or sunlight is going to suck all the recuperative energy out of you.
Possibly. I think it is just a collection of nice sounding syllables.
Yeah, you're right. I'm looking for meaning, but there is none.
But I mean, I don't want to constrain, and discount this story possibly existing where there's a sun that is made of a different, components. But
are you an expert in astronomical phenomena?
Yeah, I'm a advanced heliologist, man.
oh, nice. Yes. Dropping some helios.
Because, suns are big and suns are small, but they're all hydrogen and helium and belching out heat and light. I mean, not Extonias or whatever. Extonics? Oh, yeah. But no, I'll allow it. I'll allow it because I'm on Privilege Mountain. I get to say what is and what isn't. It's the last time I do that this episode.
No, I think this is a good shtick. There's one scene, I think, in one of the conversations that we hear in this episode about the extonic sunlight, about how we wouldn't want to let any extonic light in.
Yeah.
Which is when the Doctor goes into the cockpit, so to speak, and he says, well, why don't we, sneak a peek at the surface?
Oh, yeah, with Driver Joe and Mechanic Claude.
Not mechanic, trainee mechanic.
Sorry.
Yeah, don't give him any privilege where he ain't got none in the future. Yeah, anyway, and he goes, well, come on, let's sneak a peek at the surface. And they say, well, extonic, it's gonna basically start shaving off, I guess, millimeters of glass between them and whatever, and the planet.
Right.
Or the atmosphere. They have a look at that, but that scene is amazing. And I had a look at that scene twice, because in that scene, Claude goes, did you guys see that? There's something right there. And it came running towards us. And when I rewound it and I played it again, I really tried to see something.
Okay, as did I.
Did you see anything?
I did not see a single thing.
Nor did I. I don't think that there is anything there, which is such an ingenious move.
Right. Okay.
It's so brilliant. I think so. I mean, I'm assuming that there's nothing there. I mean, okay, I guess it's possible that there is some shadow and we just missed it. But I'd like to think that there is nothing there. That I'd like to think that it is literally like we might as well just be looking at a still image, right?
Yeah, we could IMAX that screen and nothing would show up.
Nothing whatsoever. There is no movement. There is nothing running towards them. There's no shade anywhere. And
there is shade. This is RTD shading Moffat.
Yes.
Because last time...
metaphorical shade. Yeah,
last time you were like, it's so much better if we don't see the foe. And here's RTD setting Moffat up to fall on this sword.
Yeah.
And then he's like, look at me. I'm bringing it. I'm doing exactly what you want.
I dare to do this because I originally wrote this as a as a pilot episode for a series that won't happen, and I didn't think that we'd ever have the budget to do a costume. I think that's ingenious, and I think the production team behind Doctor Who, they're thinking, well, the fans are clearly going to rewind this. There's going to be, I haven't looked, but I'm assuming that there's like a slow motion, blown up version of that screen on YouTube or Dailymotion or Vimeo or something. There are nerds out there who have taken those 5 seconds of video and meticulously analyzed it. Someone's writing a fucking thesis about those 5 seconds, swearing that they're seeing something move in a corner, and that's the genius of that scene.
Yeah,
that's the genius of the production team.
I rewound it at least 3 times, and he just says,
Well
on
done.
that ridge.
Exactly, and I looked at that bloody ridge, there's nothing on that ridge.
This scene's full of ridges. It's all ridges. And even when he's pointing, he's waving his finger around.
No, well, I feel like he's pointing at the bottom right.
He is, but he is also being vague while still, being somewhat, targeted.
Wonderful stuff.
See, I came in expecting you to say, yeah, I saw the shadow, you're just an idiot. But this is much better.
So much better. Okay.
What did you think of the planet in general?
It's beautiful.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah. We get to see incredibly little of it. We get to see a little bit of the sky and a tiny bit of, I guess, sort of mountainous panorama when... what's-her-face, Donna Noble, is getting her vagina waxed.
Yeah. Can you imagine how good a vajazzle would look with those, poison diamonds?
Poison diamonds?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, there's nothing there. And then we get to see it.
The planet did look lovely, and I couldn't tell whether it was a giant city or just rock formations at the beginning. But you know what? It was so sparkly and pretty. I don't really mind.
No, nor did I. Yeah, it is beautiful. It's also fascinating that they're going on a tour. What exactly is this tour meant to do? I mean, they're going on a tour ahead of which they close like blast doors ahead of the windows, and the drivers don't know what they're doing. The computer, it seems, clearly is driving for them. The only thing that people aboard the ship can see is a screen which shows a computer animation a la, bloody Escape from New York. Like, seen from above in 8-bit, this is where we are, Winter Witch Valley. But are they at any point actually going to see the planet themselves?
Yeah, they are.
Is the idea that the blast doors go up last minute for like 5 minutes and then they go back?
Yeah, they get to the Sapphire Waterfall, and that is a place on the planet which somehow is not 100% extonic, which is what it is where they're stranded and where they can only open the window shields for a couple of minutes.
I missed that. Okay.
So yes, in the shadow of this giant crystal glacier or whatever, that's where they get a chance to look at the scenery.
Wow. Okay, gotcha.
But something you mentioned there, the cross on the screen.
Yeah.
Not only that, but if you look like 3 or 4 minutes from the end, when the Doctor is heaving himself up after they've been blasted out, the lights on the floor are a perfect crucifix.
Oh, really?
Perfect.
Well, that's an odd piece of imagery to include in this episode.
But this is also Crusader 50.
Oh, you're right, it is.
Yeah, there are at least 3 elements to this.
Oh, that's very odd.
Which seals it for me.
But why?
He's the lonely god, isn't he?
Yeah, but why?
He's stealing all the best bits of Jesus without that pesky Bible.
Yes, I
get that. And those randy Catholic priests.
Yeah, but Dude Meister, I get that, but how does that fit? This doesn't feel like the optimal setting for that message to be delivered.
No, it's not, and it completely is secondary and extraneous.
That would have been better placed in, let's say, Silence in the Library and Forest of the Dead, where you have the afterlife and all the other things, where you can quite easily pencil in a crucifix or just the Messiah myth.
Yeah, but that's not Moffat's style, is it? Moffat's style is to make a big son of God and shout at it.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah.
But so then instead, RTD wrote a story that had absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with religion or, the standard messianic traditions, and instead just plopped a few crucifixes in there. That seems very out of place. I didn't notice this at all, by the way. That's a very good observation.
Yeah. But I mean, it's like how he plopped hymns into Gridlock and so on.
You're right.
He's just plopping away.
Oh, you are right. That's a super good reference, by the way. Yeah, sold. This is just what RTD does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's his conception of, Doctor Who and his messianic nature in one way or another.
It's like a last-minute addition. Oh, everything's great. Well, let's call it a Crusader. That's fine. That's enough. I mean, he's done infinitely more to highlight sexuality and ethnicity.
Yeah.
Religion seems it's a superficial addition.
Well, I think there you probably come up against the BBC's, broadcasting standards and guidelines, don't you? Because the UK is predominantly a Christian country.
Yeah.
And, the BBC isn't going to accept, anything too blatant.
Really?
One way or the other. Well, I mean, it does sometimes. But I think a sustained...
We've had lots of New Who that covers alien cults, and we had bloody Satan. We had Satan in an episode, in 2 episodes.
Yes, but that, in a way, props up the Christian tradition in a strange way, in allowing that even in this fictional scientific universe, that could be the cosmology of it.
Sure, but having the Doctor facing off, like, you know, literally face to face with the devil.
Yeah.
That's a way more blatant way of saying, guys, this guy's God, you know?
The way I distinguish it is
Yeah.
that RTD can get away with these things, and Moffat can get away with the things he does, calling all the episodes Death in Heaven and Heaven's for Idiots and all that sort of business.
Heaven for dummies.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the
Heaven's for idiots, is that what you said?
Well, he wishes. It's the difference between that, right, and the Doctor facing off against Satan, and what I always fear will be, and what I actually fear will be Moffat's final episode. Like, his last episode is this coming up Christmas episode.
Yeah.
And I fear, as they suggested in the original series notes to Doctor Who, why not take Doctor Who back to the birth of Christ and see what actually happened there? And Moffat will take him back there, and he will explain away Jesus Christ and the reality or the myth of it or whatever as just a Doctor Who storyline. And that's the difference for me. He doesn't actually mess with the religion's, you know, core structure. He just alludes to it.
Oh, that is such a tragically probable.
Every year I think this could happen.
Oh,
And it doesn't, to his credit.
I genuinely hope that is not the case. I don't think that maybe would they?
No,
Moffat
I
would.
don't think so.
Moffat would be very tempted, I think, but I don't think the BBC as such would, because it would potentially offend too many people.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's kept on a certain level. Symbolism and imagery, great,
Yeah.
but actually attracting tens of thousands of write-ins and complaints, not so much.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, what else have you got?
I don't have much left, actually.
Okay.
I didn't like it at the time, but now I think it's quite funny how when the hubbub is first building, everybody's going, we're running out of air. What's going on? And you can hear the music building, and you can see the camera zooming in on the Doctor, and you just know he's just going to shout, and then he does. And I didn't like it at the time, but now I think I don't know, I guess I'm used to it.
It didn't bother me at all, actually. Okay.
And just to say, like you said, it was so well crafted, the way that, first of all, the Sky is haltingly copying people, and then she's exactly mirroring them. And it's just, there's so much of the episode that is just a perfect escalation. And one thing follows another, and it all seems really simple. Each idea on its own seems really simple. And the Doctor is going through the alphabet with her, and you think, oh, this is fun. And the second you think it's fun, something creepier happens.
That was, by the way, that was the only thing that I remembered of this episode. I mean, aside from the fact that it was great and that it was a bottle episode. Miriam and I sat down and watched this together 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
And she asked me, have you seen this? She remembered it being great, and she remembered a few details. And she asked me, what do you remember? Basically begging me for spoilers. I go, okay, so I remember that something is imitating someone, then catches up with them, and then supersedes it, and actually does something ahead of the original. But I don't remember what it is. And then the episode starts, and they start knocking on the walls.
Yeah.
And I actually paused the episode and were like, that's it. That is it. Like, at some point, someone's going to go, like, knock 4 times, and it's going to knock back 4 times before you've knocked 4 times. That's what it's going to be. And it ended up not being that. It was the actual speech. But that as an element... When was this aired? 2009?
2008.
2008. That is 9 years ago. That tiny element, even though I forgot the execution of it, that element was so effective that in 2017, I still remembered it. You know, it's incredibly well done. And such a good idea.
And the other thing I'd like to draw attention to is how well they twist the Doctor's words and use them against him. And he says, "I'm clever," and they call him out on everything.
Yeah,
they're not.
they do.
They're not just plucking lines out of the air. They are twisting like hostile reviewers.
Speaking of using his words against him, in the very beginning, when I felt, it seems a little forced that he's going allons-y, and he's even, stopping to explain what it means, and then he has his other catchphrase. Which other catchphrase is it?
Molto bene.
That's what it is, yes. Molto bene. There's too much attention lent to those catchphrases, and I felt like, this is a little ham-fisted, but then it all comes around.
Yeah.
And suddenly you understand as the viewer, oh, the reason we gave that so much attention is because the other passengers who don't know the Doctor, they need to really, really be treated to these catchphrases, and we as the audience need to understand that they recognize it. It's, I just came. I mean, that is amazing. I'm grateful to RTD for having written this.
Yeah, and also it fitted
for a completely different purpose other than Doctor Who.
But it also fitted in with Skye in the moment of her triumph being so self-satisfied, which is what the Doctor is every moment of his existence.
Yeah, you're right.
To suddenly start reeling off his catchphrases, that fitted in.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, it's great.
You're right. That's a brilliant observation.
Yeah.
Shall we jump into ratings, dude?
Oh, just one thing.
Okay, one thing.
The Doctor talking to the implacable foe, trying to understand it, trying to establish lines of communication. We've talked about this time and time again. Here he is, and she's parroting back at him as he is saying it.
Yeah.
And he knows that he should be quiet and at the back of the ship, but he has to try and establish.
I thought about that, as in, rather, to clarify, I thought about you saying that when watching this episode. The whole, like, oh, well, here's a foe that we probably shouldn't get entangled with, but yet he does, because he has to give everyone a chance.
Yeah, they could all just shut up for 50 minutes and the rescue vehicle would arrive.
Exactly, problem solved.
Yeah.
What is this one individual going to do against however many 6 or 7 people there are in the rest of the bus?
Final thing! The simul-talking.
God damn it.
The simul-talking.
The simul-talking?
Tennant and the actress who played
Tennant
Skye.
and the actress.
That was good, wasn't it?
It really was, yeah. I mean,
they didn't, at first, I thought, oh great, this is really impressive. Oh no, why did they cut away? Now we're just seeing one do it and now the other. But then they went back to it. They didn't exhaust it on the first showing, and then I was like, great, now I'm seeing more of it. This episode was really well directed as well.
It was, yeah. Actually, that brings me around to another point of tension. I mean, the Doctor, if he doesn't say it outright, he certainly insinuates that you shouldn't let her imitate you too much because she's doing something nefarious, you know, there's something dastardly behind that act.
Yeah, she's appropriating your discourse.
Is that a quote?
No, I'm just
okay.
Feminist journal again.
Right. So, yet he volunteers his voice. I mean, in the name of what? I don't know. Curiosity, maybe? Or his instinctive desire to help other living beings? Maybe that's what it is. He knows all the theories that he offers up they're not necessarily negative, but they are potentially destructive. You know, like, are you absorbing? Are you, what are you trying to do here? What is this going on?
Here is a range of options. And you can pick the one that most suits you.
Yeah.
Last thing.
Fucking hell, man.
Last thing.
I'm editing this.
Last thing.
That's all you get.
Doc says planet can keep on turning in silence when they take up the Leisure Palace and go away. It's not the silence, right?
No.
We're living on this planet?
No, it's the... Actually, oh, God damn it. You should have said that, because now I have to say something else. No, it's that actually alludes back to what you said before. What they should have done is they should have spent 50 minutes in silence, right?
Right.
Because this thing seems to draw power and influence from people's voice, people's speech. At the very end, he says that in a scene that is amazing. It's a little, like just a smidge too long. But it is amazing nonetheless, and it is when he is reunited with Donna Noble.
Oh, yay, heart of the show.
Screw her. And, and she imitates him, and he just goes, no, don't do that. Don't do that. That's amazing. Unfortunately, he says, don't do that, like 4 or 5 times, and he only has to say it once or twice. Exactly. That's it. Yeah. See, you lost me after 2 of those.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he does that a few times too many, but that's fine. That scene is still, it's so poignant. She also gets sort of a flick on the nose, Yeah. Anyway, that was it.
And now it is time to rate this.
Did we love or hate this?
Bing bong, hey, la 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 la.
Ratings.
Ratings, you first.
My rating begins as follows. Not enough Donna Noble.
Oh, really?
But Tennant did brilliantly, and this was a horrendous watch. I mean, it was harrowing. And what negligible latex suit scare factor it lacked in never seeing the foe, my nightmares will more than make up for tonight, and probably for the next week.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't give a shit about any of the fellow passengers, but that turned out to be to the story's advantage. I reckon this is probably up in RTD's top 3. Like, with the end
Agreed.
of time, maybe parting of the ways, and maybe what's to come in the rest of this series. I mean, I like the next Doctor, but this is better than that, I think. So, yeah. And the episode got stronger and stronger, which you know I like.
Yeah.
And creepier and creepier.
Yeah.
Molto bene, 4.6.
4.6, nice one. I'm going to keep it short and sweet as well. Starting with Just Enough Donna Noble.
Just about the right amount. Last week she was domesticated, and this week she's almost off screen entirely. We're getting there.
It's interesting that before we sat down to review this, so roughly an hour and a half ago, I was thinking it bothers me a little bit that this episode at the time felt repurposed for Doctor Who, but now you've convinced me otherwise. It was, and it is, and it will remain great science fiction. And it doesn't matter if it's Doctor Who or not. The Doctor is in it. This is Whovian. I love it. The tension is great. The acting is, I mean, it's good. It's good enough. The writing is splendid. I mean, the writing is just perfect. Give that the oomph that it deserves, Drew. Upon rewatching this, I wish I had rewatched it thinking, yes, the Doctor is a poon hound, as clearly you did when you were when you were watching this. But
isn't that why he's on the trip? He thinks this is Club 18 to 30.
Wait, what? This is a bus with caterpillar drags? I've just packed a suitcase full of condoms. No, I'm just going to raw dog everyone.
Sorry, short and sweet.
Sorry. In summary, I can't go as high as I did before with Silence in the Library, which I gave 4.7, I believe. For reasons you need to listen, ladies and gentlemen, you need to listen to our Silence in the Library and Forest of the Dead reviews.
And then all the others.
And yes, exactly. And then you'll understand, then you'll get the context. But for that reason, I will give this a 4.6 as well.
Hey, perfect score.
Ka-ching. Nice.
Great.
Great.
Are we the only people to have reviewed this episode? He's even doing the eyebrows thing like I'm doing.
Oh my goodness, Leon has the biggest dick in the world.
What?
Sorry, I went ahead of you there. Sorry. One martini and one spritz later.
And about 3 hours.
Yeah, then I start talking about my dick. Listener Mini. We have a Listener Mini.
Really? Who's it from?
Tracy from America. Tracy goes, Tracy here. I'm on a break from digging out of this blizzard, and I'll be doing this one from memory. That gives us a clue as to where you are, Tracy.
She's in Albany, New York.
Bingo.
Tracy continues. This is a bottle episode. Everyone is stuck in a room and it's all about the character. I feel a bit strange about the direction the Doc takes immediately. He breaks all the media to force them to get to know one another. And I'm breaking from Tracy's review. His shark grin when everyone has to talk. Oh, I did like that.
I liked it as well.
Tracy continues. I mean, I know he loves company, but couldn't he just turn on the charm, flash those teeth and schmooze instead of breaking things?
Oh, I quite liked it, actually. I liked this sabotage. Anyway, Tracy goes on. Eventually, shit goes down. There's pounding on the walls, and one of them, Sky Silvestri, is inexplicably repeating, then synchronizing, then preceding their words.
It's not the pounding on the walls the Doc had in mind either.
Hey-o! And she's fixated on the Doctor. Soon they are all yelling and freaking out, and the Doctor goes quiet as a strange force holds him silent and still. And look at Tennant go! He's basically acting from his eyes only.
I see this episode as the least Doctor Who-like of any I can remember.
Ah.
It's full of such concentrated psychological terror. None of the usual slowly solving and unravelling mystery. None of the Doctor's cheeky winning flair. None of his brazen bluffing and talking the enemy into confusion. His voice is literally stolen, and we can see what that does to him.
Oh my god, did we not just say this? We are 173% on the same page, Tracy. Tracy goes on, in the end, we don't even get an answer as to who or what the enemy was, but that's not the point this time. A unique episode, to be sure.
And her rating is breathless.
You went for baritone and I went for creepy pervert.
It'll combine in the mix.
It comes out as a perfect Hasselhoff.
Yeah, creepy pervert baritone.
Yeah, very nice mini. Thank you very much for sending that in, Tracy. Ladies and gentlemen of Podcast Land, if you are not Tracy, or if you are, and you want to follow Tracy, then you can. She's on Twitter. High five her and tell her hi from us. She is at
Yekutnyatnuf. That's Fountain Tracy backwards.
Holy shit, we just midnighted again. This has been a fantastic episode.
Well, I wouldn't presume, but I hope that's what Podcast Land thinks too.
Good fun. Where are we going next?
Well, we're turning left.
Yes, the next New Who review is going to be Turn Left. Before that, after that, I'm not going to presume to know. We'll see. We're also going to be dropping a classic Who review, namely of Inferno. We've not been very good at announcing beforehand which episodes we are going to record and when, which we appreciate makes writing minis and sending them to us a little bit more complicated. So going forward, we're going to try to be a little bit better at this. And as and when we pencil in a recording session, which, by the way, we're not super professional. This tends to be like, hey guys, you want to record on Thursday? Fantastic, let's do it. If that happens...
It's the worst impression of me I've ever heard, but
yeah, that was 100% you. I'm glad that you recognized yourself, by the way.
Oh, hey, Pluto.
That wasn't Nick.
Or even
JD.
Marie.
Oh, Marie. That was you.
I can't believe you think I sound like that.
As and when we schedule a recording session, we might just pop it on Facebook just to let you guys know that something is coming up, and that way you'll have a little bit more of a heads up. That means, by the way, if you're not following us on Facebook already, please do, because that will give you the heads up in question.
Cool.
Should I even mention audiobooks?
Well, yeah, I mean, people might forget that the next audio book review is going to be of The Cannibalists.
Holy smokeroonies.
Any week now.
Yeah. By the way, just to keep up to date with The Cannibalists, to not let it fade from memory completely, I think I've listened to it 7 times now.
Oh, wow.
Like, I just have it on my phone. It's just like constantly there. Occasionally it pops up on shuffle. Fucking annoying.
Goodness.
Anyway.
Is it better than We're and Dawn, at least?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. People can follow you on Twitter, can they not?
They can. It's all original material on Twitter. None of this retweeting bollocks. I'm at Drew Back When. And how about you?
And I'm at Pumpkin, you know how to spell that. I mostly retweet tweets that I send from the Who Back When channel. And occasionally I say something of my own. Until the next time.
Be rad and excellent to each other.
Oh my god, you've surpassed me.
Ciao.
Bye. Kablamo! Did you enjoy the show? Then please do what the cosmos compels you to and spread the gospel of Who Back When. Tell your friends. Don't have any friends? No problemo. Tell some strangers. Like us on Facebook. That's facebook.com/Who Back When, all in one word. Are you on Google Plus? Then find us on Google Plus. That's plus Who Back When. And when you do, tell us why you're on Google Plus. Who Back When just got its very own Twitter account, no lie, so give us a follow. You guessed it, that's @Who Back When, all in one word. Check us out on SoundCloud, vote us up on Reddit, listen to us on Stitcher, and head on over to our website, whobackwhen.com, where you can leave a comment, submit a review of your own, and peruse of visual index of aliens, monsters, and more, which increases in kablamos with every episode. And lastly, give us a rating and review on iTunes. Not only would it make us super chuffed, and it really, really would, but as thanks, we will transmigrate your iTunes nom de plume into the credit list of trailers for fake Doctor Who audiobooks produced by Who Back When. Have a poke around our bonus episodes to make more sense of that. That's it. Rock on and be rad and excellent to each other. Catch your earballs in our next classic Who review, New Who review, or, still funny, Audio Who review. Ciao.
Who Back When?